Morning farming family, good morning farming family. Welcome to Alipas Farms once again. Today we have a short video for you. I always say there is money in the soil and we always need to get our hands dirty. Watch out. There is this tomatoes episode video that I'm bringing out. Watch out. I always say there is money in the soil and we always need to get our hands dirty. Here we are taking you live to Alipas Farms from stage to stage of cultivation of tomatoes. I want to train you or let you know about how to do planting of tomatoes or how to cultivate tomatoes. Just grab your handout from Alipas Farms and we have the best things for you all. We give you the steps where we begin or where we started from. Okay, keep watching and then follow. The first time I came, it was on land preparation and land clearing, but today you can see the nursery doing fine, and then we have about getting to 3 weeks now, but the nursery is ready for transplanting. So hopefully by next week it's gonna go down. Okay, we are planting to get the paper. Okay, so we'll give you the update during the planting hours, and then you will like it. But don't forget to like this video, don't forget to share this video, and don't forget to subscribe this video. Keep subscribing and then like this video. We have a lot for you. Watch out. Important factors you need to consider when starting tomatoes production is one, marketing. Okay, availability of markets. First, you need to find access or find available markets for the commodity or the produce that you want to produce out there. Okay, so you first find your market for the tomatoes, and then secondly you look at the availability of land. Your land too is another factor that you need to consider. You need to make sure that you find a suitable site selection or a suitable farmland for the cultivation. Tomatoes do well in a loamy sandy soil or in a loamy soil. You can also cultivate a clay and loam, which is also suitable. Okay, but most preferable is loamy soil. Okay, so you need to find a suitable site selection or suitable farmland for the cultivation of the tomatoes. Never forget to also make sure that the farmland is available to access road. Okay, there's access road which will be easy to convey your tomatoes or to make the production very easy once you want to send in or send out any inputs from the farm. Okay, so you also need to take that into consideration. You also look at irrigation aspect. Once you find the land, you make sure that you are close to water source so that you can have a supplemental irrigation. To so need to you need the third position is to look for a variety. Okay, suitable variety, preferred variety to cultivate. There's a lot of variety out there, but you need to find the right variety to cultivate. You can't just go in for any kind of variety which is not preferred at the market. Always you cultivate and then it will be there, no one will purchase it. So you need to find a suitable variety for the tomatoes. Some of the variety include kunkum, and then we have Mona F1 and other varieties. Okay, but for more details you can contact for a nice variety from Alipat Farms. But don't forget to like, subscribe, and also share. Other aspect of it is the management. Okay, you also look at the management. Once you look at the variety, then you look at the management, those who are going to manage the farm for you, the farm hands. Okay, is also one of the factors you need to consider. So once you find your farm hands, you make sure that they are competent enough to work inside or every time, anytime when the need arises for them to be at the farm. So you find a competent or regular Hello. Let's begin with the crop planting calendar. Here is a sample of the tomatoes planting calendar. This calendar gives you the detail of all the production and then the time to meet the peak demand. Now, to begin with your cropping, you need to consider this calendar. Here are the months. We have the August, September, October up to March. So to begin with your production, your land preparation begins in August. It begins in the month of August. Then after the land preparation, you do your nursery in that same month of August. You do your nursery. 100 to 150 grams of tomato seeds cultivate 1 acre. So you make sure that you get your seed. Once you nest the seed, then you protect the seed from dumping of symptoms or dumping of diseases. You protect your seedlings from dumping of diseases. Next, in the month of September, transplanting begins 3 to 4 weeks after the germination of the nursery that you are done. So once your nursery reaches 3 to 4 weeks, it is ready for transplanting. Now, 75 to 100 centimeters between rows is needed for your planting spacing. 75 to 100 centimeters between rows. Okay, then 30 to 40 centimeters within rows. So within plants is 40 centimeters or 30 centimeters within the rows. Now, in the month of August, you make sure that you gather down your fertilizers. You will need a fertilizer, that's NPK, 80 to 100 kg per acre. That will be a 40 ml or 40 or 50 ml per plant. When you are dealing with manure too, you need to gather your manure, and your manure you need 8 tons per acre, and the measuring is 2 to 3 handful per hoe. You also continue or start with your weeds and pest disease control, as I told you earlier on. So in the month of October, that is where your first application begins. In the month of October, it's either you do it a side dress, that's placement method, or you do it starter solution method, depending on the climatic condition or the weather condition. Okay, when you are doing starter solution, normally it is very ideal because you dissolve the granular fertilizer into a liquid form and you feed the plant with. So it's advisable that you start with the starter solution method. But normally when it is raining, you start it with the side dressing method. Let's continue with the dosage or the quantity needed. 40 bags of NPK is needed. Okay, 40 bags of NPK is needed per acre for the first application. 40 bags of NPK is needed. Then you apply 40 ml per plant or 50 ml per plant. Okay, then your training, staking and pruning, risk control start from this stage. Your second application begins in the month of November. In the month of November, you start your second application of fertilizer by using 50 kg per acre. That will be 50 ml per plant. Okay, so you begin your second application in the month of November. Your training, your risk is considered here. So in the month of December, you begin with your harvesting, your sorting, grading, and then here is the yield per an acre. You can have a 12,000 to 40,000 kg per acre, and then you also check on your marketing. From then, that your harvesting starts in the month of December, leads you to the month of January to February. Okay, so that is where there is a great peak demand. There is a peak demand here. Okay, but to also meet the time zone of maybe March, you need to skip the month of August to fall within March, because March is the most highest peak demand. So to fall within the March, then you need to skip the August. Okay, then you start your land preparation in August, your transplanting in October, your first fertilizer in November, then your second fertilizer in December, then you start your harvesting in January, February, then to March. So it continues like that. You can rotate it like that. Okay, depending on what you want to do. There is this thing you need to take under consideration. Okay, now determine from the market survey results when there is a peak demand for tomatoes. It's very necessary that you crop your calendar this way. Okay, then you work backwards from the month when there is peak demand to prepare a monthly farm activities preceding the peak period. Okay, and you also use the monthly activities preceding the peak demand as a procurement plan for farm input and guide for farm operations. So to meet the peak demand period of the market, there may be the need for supplemental irrigation, as I said earlier on, to start or to do any production within this month. You need to make sure that there is a supplemental irrigation. Okay, you can't just stand up and do it like that. There should be a supplemental irrigation, because in the month of December to January, there will be a shortage of rainfall, and mostly it also happens in November. There will not be a regular rainfall. Maybe the time that the plant will be needing of water, then it is not raining. So you consider these factors. For more details about the cropping calendar, you can contact Alipat Farms. The number is on the screen. You pick the number from the screen or the description button, and then you contact Alipat Farm for more details on the cropping calendar. The handout too is available. The tomatoes handout too is available. This is a practical handout. This is a practical tomatoes handout. So anyone who is interested in the handout can contact Alipat Farms for the handout on the tomatoes production. This practical handout. Okay, practical handout. Thank you very much. So after your first cultivation, after your first tomatoes cultivation, or after your first production is done, you can begin your next production in January. So your land preparation will fall within December. Then your nursery also fall within December. Note there should be a supplemental irrigation within December. January you are starting the transplanting. So February, March, April, your production is out, or your produce is out. That time there is also a high peak demand for the tomatoes. That will be your next plan of production. You begin your nursery in December.
Okay, your plant preparation, your nursery in December, or land preparation in December. January, you start your planting. Then February, March, April, your production is ready. So this is your second planting calendar. You can also consider for me. So you need to consider these factors. That will be your second production. Okay, your second production. You start your land preparation in December, then everything follows like that. For more details, you just contact Alipat Farms for more details.
Okay, let's count the flowers. Get your hands dirty. Get your hands dirty at all times. We are spreading the seeds. Of October now, so
yeah.
So we're on transplanting stage. Okay, so the transplantings go like this. Once you uproot your seedlings from the nursery bed, you need to transplant it to the permanent field. Okay, so what you do is that you share tomatoes according to the hole that you have created. You create a hole 30 centimeters within rows. 30 centimeters within rows. So in case you are using a drip lines, so you have one hole here, one drip hole here, one drip hole here. So you have one hole here, one hole created here for the drip. On a normal tomatoes field, you can also use the same 30 centimeters within rows, and then 60 to 75 centimeters between rows. Okay, so in between the best should be 65 to 75 centimeters, but within the rows you use 30 centimeters within the rows. So it will be 30 centimeters by 75 centimeters. So now you just place your tomatoes here. I'm planting 2 seedlings per hole. Okay, I'm planting 2 seedlings per hole. So you put 2 tomatoes on a hole being created. You put 2 tomatoes on a hole being created like this. So you share all on with the tomatoes. Once you are done, okay, watch here very carefully. It is practical. but don't forget to subscribe, don't forget to like this video. Okay, so you have it like this. Okay, so you pick your 2 seedlings, then you just place in your fingers to open the hole, then you just fix it inside. You fix the root inside the hole, then you add on a soil, then you press it. Don't press it too hard, or else you break the roots. So you just have to press it very soft for the soil to cover. You picked your next one, then you dip in your finger, then you place it inside like that. Okay, so this is how you are going to do it. This is how you are going to do it. So you see we have 30 centimeters, 30 centimeters, 30 centimeters. But in between the plant is 75 centimeters in between the plants. Okay, it's 75 centimeters in between the plants. That is in between the ridges and ridges. Okay, within plants or within the rows should be 30 centimeters. Note, it should be 30 centimeters. Someone may ask, why not one seedling per hole? You can do it 1 seedling per hole, but to increase population, it's whereby you can do it 2 plants per hole to increase plant population for a maximum yield. Okay. Then with the planting, we have the 2 combined placement planting, and then we have 2 separated seedlings planting. The 2 separated seedling planting is in a situation whereby you fix one tomato plant here, then you fix the other one to aside, so that you have the same 2 plants, but it's separated. But we have the joined one. So me, I'm using the joined one, but you can also do it this way. Both of it is okay. Both of it is okay. So that is it. So with the transplanting techniques, that is how you are going to do it. And after the transplanting, 1 week after the transplanting, one thing about the transplanting, what you need to know is that you need to make sure that there's a moist. Where you want to transplant your tomatoes is moist. If you can see, I have water. I lay down water into the field for it to be moist or wet before you do your transplanting. Okay, you can see I've laid drip hose, water for me, that's rain hose, that is watering it for the soil to be moist. Okay, before the planting. So you need to make sure that you have a wet soil for the planting, okay, so that the tomatoes can stand. One thing about transplanting is that you can have a seedling whereby you want to transplant it, but once you transplant it, then the crickets cut it down. The next day you realize that it has been cut off by insects. What you need to do is that you don't have to worry yourself. Just get some insecticide, okay, measure a quantity of insecticide, and then add an amount of water. When you contact, I'll give you the more details about that. So you mix it, and then you dip in the roots and then the stem base of the plant inside the solution, the chemical solution that you have made, so that you transplant. After then, you transplant it to the field. The animal won't cut it again, or the insects won't cut it again. So that is another technique you need to consider. After the transplanting of the tomatoes, 1 week after the transplanting, you can start the first fertilizer application. The first application of fertilizer should be a starter solution method. The first application of fertilizer should be a starter solution method. And with the surface solution method, it's whereby you dissolve the granular fertilizer into a liquid form. So you get to NPK, the 15, 15, 15, or 23, 10, 10, or 25, whatever it is. But with your first fertilizer application, you need to make sure that you mix it with, or you box it with ammonia. You box it with ammonia so that you apply it to your plant. For more details, you can contact. I'll give you the real details, how you do your measurement or the rate of application, everything intact. Okay, so you can contact, you just subscribe and then comment at the comment section and ask more details. I'll give it to you, bro. So after the fertilizer application for the 1 week after the transplanting, the next application of fertilizer will begin a month later after the first application. That time you are reaching the earthing up. So you give your second application of fertilizer before you do your earthing up. Earthing up is a technique whereby you top up the soil around the stem base of the tomato plant to increase yield, for maximum support of the plant, and etc. Okay, so you consider that. So you give out the second fertilizer application before you do your earthing up. And one thing about that, you also have what we call it. If one want to avoid using the synthetic chemicals or the use of NPK fertilizers. Manure is there. So if someone wants to go by the manure, 1 acre needs 8 tons of manure. Okay, 8 tons of manure. So you fetch 2 handfuls per hole, 2 handfuls of manure, poultry manure per hole. You need to make sure that the manure that you have placed in the hole is decomposed. It needs to be decomposed before you fetch it and place it into the hole. Okay, before you do your transplanting. So for more details about the fertilizer application, you can contact for more details. Family, let's proceed with diseases and pest management on our tomatoes production. You know, in our tomatoes cropping field, there are a lot of diseases infestation that we normally encounter during the production time. Now, we have common insects and common diseases infestation that normally occurred on tomato plants. One, let's start with the insects infestations. We have white flies. White flies. White flies is a small insect that normally infests on our tomatoes plant. They infest under the leaf, and then cause a leaf curling, and also cause nutrient or nutritional deficiency on the plant. Okay, so because once they infest on the plant, their method of feeding, they suck the nutrients from the plant. They suck the nutrients from the plant. So this is what white flies can cause to the tomatoes plant. So once they suck nutrients from the plant, now the plant begins to turn curly. You see the leaves being curled and also being started rusting. Another insect infestation is also aphids. Aphids also cause total damage to the plant by also sucking the juicy or the fluid base of the plant, you understand? So they suck juice from the plant for the plant to be left stunted. Now once they suck the juice from the plant stunted, okay? Now another insect infestation is African bollworm. African bollworm normally happens during the fruiting stage. You see, the African bollworm creates holes. They create holes inside the tomato fruit. They penetrate and eat within the tomatoes plant, the inner part of the tomato plant, and just leave the fruit by falling down the fruit and also causing total damage to the fruit. Not only the fruit, but they also chill the leaves of the tomatoes. They also chill the leaves of the tomatoes. We have cricket. Cricket also cause damage or destroy the tomato plant by cutting down the small transplanted tomato seedlings. So when it happens like that, they cause total damage to the tomatoes plant, whereby destroying the whole production that you have done. We also have leaf miner. Leaf miner also cause damage to the tomatoes plant, whereby they infest on the tomatoes plant, and therefore the tomatoes plants tend to rust, and then the leaves tends to begin to deform. They start to deform the leaves, and then the leaves start to turn into a yellow. Now let's proceed to a spider mite, red spider mite. Red spider mite also lay down cobwebs or spider webs on the tomato plant. So when they lay that web on the tomatoes plants, now the tomatoes leaf begins to turn into yellow form, and then that end by falling down of flowers from the tomato plant. So when they infest on the tomato plant, it falls down flowers on the plant. So you need to consider these insects, and then you protect your tomato plant from these insect infestations. What you need to do is you need to start treating your plant insecticide from the early stage. You need to start treating your plant insecticide from the early stage. Some of the inert ingredients or active ingredients of the insecticide, you can spray emamectin benzoate. You can also use imidacloprid. We have other insecticides. Okay. Good. Now let's proceed with the diseases infestations. There are common diseases that normally happens to our tomato crops. Such diseases include fungi infections, virus infection, but normally we encounter fungi infection in bacteria and somehow viral infection. Now let's begin with the fungi infection. Fungal infection normally happens to our tomatoes plant when the weather is too much humid. When the weather is too much humid, especially during the rainy season. Fungi infection normally occurred from such fungal infections. Some of the fungal infections that you may notice from your tomatoes field is anthracnose. 1. We have downy mildew. We have powdery mildew. We have the leaf spot. We have the early blight. We have the late blight. These are some of the common fungi infections you may encounter or you may notice from your cropping field. So there is a need to protect your tomato plant from such infestations. We also have soil fungi borne disease. Soil fungi borne disease, which is fusarium wart. Fusarium wart is a fungi disease, but normally it's a soil borne disease. It is normally found within the soil. So you protect your tomato plant from such diseases of such fusarium wart diseases. Because the disease to protect the tomato from such infestation, 1, you can plant disease-resistant varieties to protect your tomatoes from such infestations. Plant disease-resistant varieties. But do not forget to like this video, you subscribe, and then you also share. When you contact, I'll give you the disease-resistant varieties you may need to cultivate. Okay, then again, we have the bacterial wart. Here's the bacterial infestation. We have bacterial wart that also normally happens to our tomatoes plant. And we also have the leaf curling, which is normally when it's caused by the insects, it leads to viral diseases. That is hardly for you to control viral diseases in your tomatoes plant. So the necessity aspect of it is to protect your plant from fungi infestation. Treat your tomato plant at the early stage by applying protective or preventive fungicide. But for more details, you can go for your consultation services for more details. Okay, but do not forget to subscribe, do not forget to like, and do not forget to share this video. If I'm able to get 100 likes for this video, I'll keep you always posted with quality and authentic information, good educative information on production at all times. Thank you very much. Hello family, welcome to Alipat Farms. Do not forget to share this video, like and comment. Alipat Farms offer services. 1, we offer consultancy services. We offer farm supervision. We offer pest management services. We offer farm advice. So if you want to contact Alipat Farms, please book for your consultancy services. To contact Alipat Farms, kindly book for your consultancy services, and we have the best of all things for you, very educative things for you.